Hello students, so today we're going to look at how to add and subtract rational expressions when you need a common denominator, aka your denominators are not like. You're going to want your notes and then a pen or a pencil today. So, general fractions, how we actually did these. So 1/5 plus 7/10, remember you need to find a common denominator. So my common denominator would be 10, right? Well, since this is already 10, I'm going to multiply the top by 1. Because 10 times 1 gave you 10. So 7 times 1 is 7. But now 5 times 2 gave me 10. So I need to multiply the top by 2. So I got 2. And then you added the numerators but kept the denominators the same, right? Same thing comes to these kinds of when you have x's and stuff. Basically, you need to find the least common denominator. You're going to make the common denominator by multiplying, not by adding. And you may need to factor at the end or at the beginning to make sure you see what's at the bottom. So let's try this out. We're going to use this really awesome table that's going to help us. So this is my first fraction, this is my second fraction. Each fraction you see is going to get its own row in this grid. So in my first fraction, I'm going to put the denominator. Now, if I see multiplication, I'm going to split that up. So this is 3 times x. So the 3 is going to get its own box, and the x is going to get its own box. X squared, I can make that x times x, right? Now, you're going to put common things under the same column. So x is not like 3, right? But x is like x. So I'm going to put an x there and an x here. So now what you can do is drop each column and keep the one thing that was in there. So I'm going to have a 3, an x, and an x for my common denominator, okay? So 3x and x. Alright, now what you should do, let's cover up what we originally had to see what we need. So notice how on this one, my first fraction here, I am missing an x, right? So I need to multiply the top by x. Okay? So I'll get 2x on top. Now, what am I missing here? Notice how I was missing something here in this column. So I'm going to have a 3. I need to multiply by 3. So I'm going to have 15. Add the numerators, 2x plus 15, and then we're going to fix the denominator to be 3x squared. And that is done. Can't factor it all, so you're done with that problem. Let's take a look at this one. Let's make ourselves our table again. So here's my first fraction, second fraction. Remember, you're only worrying about the numerators. X plus 2 is 1 unit. You can't split that up into x and 2. It is x plus 2. So in my first one here, I'm going to have x plus 2. Nothing else, right? X minus 2, though, he is not like x plus 2. He needs to go in his own column. So now I know my common denominator is going to be both of these. So I'm going to have a common denominator of x plus 2, x minus 2. On the bottoms. There we go. Now, this is when we start to look at and see what are we missing? So, in my first column, I am missing here x minus 2. So, I'm going to need to multiply by x minus 2 at the top there. So, 4x plus 1 times x minus 2. Distribute, we get 4x squared minus 8x plus x minus 2, which if I simplify that down, 4x squared minus 7x minus 2, right? Number 3, I am missing, or right here, I am missing the x plus 2, right, in my second fraction. So I'm going to multiply by x plus 2. So give that 3 in. That'll be 3x plus 6, right? Because technically this is what I got. So I'm going to distribute the 3 in. Now, let's combine our like terms. 4x squared has nobody to combine with. Negative 7x and a positive 3x do. So I'm going to get a negative 4x. Negative 2 plus 6. That is a positive 4. And then I am done with that problem. Let's try it again. So, just like last time, make our table. Here's the first fraction, second fraction. First fraction has an x plus 5, so he's just going to stay all together, remember, because I can't split that up. Number 2 has an x, so he can't go under the x plus 5 because he's not x plus 5. He is just x. So my common denominator is going to be x and x plus 5. There we go. So now my first fraction is missing x, so I need to multiply by x. My second fraction, however, is missing x plus 5, so we need to multiply by x plus 5 here. This one's pretty easy. I'm just going to get 4x. Now we need to know what is 6x minus 1 times x plus 5. Distribute, I'll get 6x squared plus 30x minus x minus 5. So I'm going to get 6x squared plus 29x minus 5. There we go. Now, be very careful. Notice subtraction. When you're subtracting, you need to be careful and think in your head. If that's a lot of trouble for you, and I know I have a lot of trouble, I realize I forget it. So I'm going to change this into a plus. By changing that into a plus, though, you need to change the signs of everyone behind. So this was a positive, it's now a negative. This was a positive, this is now a negative. This was a negative, it's now a positive. That way you don't get confused on your signs. So negative 6x squared. I had a 4x plus a negative 29, so that's a negative 25x. And then plus 5. Over my denominator. And that would be the end of that problem. Last one. So, first fraction, second fraction. So I have my first fraction, just x plus 4. My second fraction, I have an x minus 3. So, multiply by what I'm missing. In my first row here, I am missing x minus 3. So that's what I need to multiply by. Second row here, I'm multiplying by x plus 4 because that's what I'm missing. So, my common denominator is those two put together, it looks like. Okay, so multiply the 3 in, I'm going to get 3x minus 9. Multiply the 8 in, I'm going to get 8x plus 32. Now, let's add. 3x plus 8x is 11x. Negative 9 plus 32 is 23. And that would be the end of my problem. And that's the end of this video. See you later, Sabers.